I think through this all, you just realize that the why in all of this is not why me, not to feel sorry for myself, because I don't. I feel like the why is in who can I help through this, and why I get it is because I do believe it's changed me in a way that I can help others. I can see life in a different perspective.
This is the Leave It Better podcast, powered by the Side Out Foundation. Here's your host, Hall of Fame coach, Janice Kruger.
Welcome to Leave It Better podcast. Today I have the privilege of speaking with Abbie McCoy, a mother, an advocate, and someone who truly embodies what it means to leave it better while facing her own battle. Abbie was the co-chair of Southern Lehigh High School's Dig Pink event this year, a volleyball-supported program raising funds for metastatic breast cancer research led by the Side Out Foundation. She's currently fighting triple positive breast cancer, and her doctors have told her the medication she has access to is literally saving her life. And we'll talk about what that means a little bit later as we get into the show. Abbie is a mom to two amazing high schoolers. Her daughter is a volleyball player, an outside hitter on the 17's East Coast Power, being recruited to play in college. Her son is a musician and describes himself as someone who exercises his brain or his mind. And we do truly love that. Smart guy. Her husband, Carrie, is a two-time Olympian wrestler and also coached, I believe, on the Olympic team, two-time NCAA national championship, and was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame as a distinguished member, who now serves as the executive director of Lehigh Valley Wrestling Club Training Center and works with young wrestlers. They met at Penn State University back in the day, and their story is one of resilience, purpose, and community. The volleyball community has wrapped their arms around Abbie, supporting her in this journey she is having. Under her co-leadership, Southern Lehigh's Dig Pink event this year is on track for all the years to break $100,000, which is truly amazing for the community there. Abbie, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today.
Well, thank you, Janice. Thank you for having me. It is truly an honor. I don't normally do these things. I always tell everybody my husband's the one who does. So to be able to tell my story and share with others I really feel honored to be able to, even if it's just a few people, to help others.
So Abbie, let's just, there's a lot of things I want to get through today, but let's just start with, this is about you. How did you find out that you had breast cancer? What was the day like, or how did that come about?
Well, I think it's never something you expect. I was always very healthy. I exercised. I ate right. It was just who I was. I really was not fanatical, but I really was into being a healthy person. I had a mammogram. I've been going for my mammogram since I was in my 30s, twice a year, because I have dense breast tissue and they were really on top of it. I've had cysts and different things they were watching. So on February 9th, I went for my mammogram. Everything was fine. Just a few typical calcifications that they watch. Nothing crazy. So they biopsied one of the calcifications. Everything was fine. A month later, I felt a lump in the shower. And I thought, well, this is strange. How could so I thought, oh, it's just a gland. Because it was more near my armpit. So I'm it must be a gland. But something inside of me was just I need to have this checked out. So I was actually seeing my doctor that Monday for a follow-up for the biopsy. And I said to him, I'm hey, look at this. He's oh no. He's we've got to get that biopsy right away. And since he was the head of cancer surgery, Dr. Lee Riley is his name. He's one of the best doctors. He's wonderful.
And where's he out of?
At St. Luke's in the Lehigh Valley.
Okay. We got to give him a plug.
I know. He's amazing. So he got me in right away to do the biopsy of that. And we knew within 24 hours it was cancer. And honestly, it was I I've had so much, when you have dense breast tissue, you have so many things like checked out and just make sure that it's nothing, that I literally was like, oh, it's just another, routine biopsy, and so when I got the news, they said, oh, your test results are in. I thought, oh, I'll just check it, because I didn't think anything of it. And I had to read it. I had to have my husband read it. It was just such a shock. Just something at 46 you never can imagine. Yeah. So then, everything starts to unravel. My doctor started calling me, and initially they said, oh, you're just going to have a lumpectomy and, probably just maybe some radiation. And I thought, oh, that's great. I won't even need to tell people. It'll just be a blip. And then when the news came that I was triple positive, that's what changes everything. Yeah. Triple positive is more aggressive. I think 25% of the breast cancers are triple positive. Definitely, it's the kind that would metastasize within 5 years before.
Oh, wow.
I have found a community of women who are way too young and getting this kind of cancer. So I talked to the social worker at the hospital about this, like, why? Like, what are we doing? It kind of seems to be trending this way. And she really has no answers either. So I do hope that they are able to figure this out, because it does kind of feel like, like when you get it, it's like, what have I done? Like, why? It's not genetic. Most of the women I've met, none of us are genetically predisposed. So I don't know, but I do hope, like, that's why I feel, when I see the research Sideout's doing and knowing the advances that have taken place, I just feel so supportive and proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. We are so proud to have you be supportive, and us being able to do what we can for everybody there. So in the moment you guys, when you found out, what was that like for you and your family? I mean, this is not even your immediate, but into your extended family. What was that moment like for you?
Well, it honestly was rather heartbreaking, because initially, like I said, I didn't think I was going to have chemo or anything. I was like, oh, I've got this. Like, I'm a fighter. I was an athlete. Like, I'm always somebody who, like, okay, this, I'll just fight this and have surgery. So when I found out, when I went in to see Dr. Riley, and he sat me down and explained exactly what I was going to have to go through, it was when the reality really started to hit me. And I think the hardest thing for me as a woman is, like, and a mom, I'm so used to just, like, when we're sick or we have a cold, we just deal with it. Like, you just keep going. And I thought, oh man, I'm not going to be able to just keep going with this. Like, I'm going to really have to embrace help, which I'm not really good at doing before. And I really struggled with the idea of having my family see me sick. I'm like, I know I can do this. I can get through anything. I'm strong. I'm healthy. Like, I can do this. But the idea of having my family see me at my weakest, sickest moments really destroyed me. I'm like, I just want to go away. I don't want them to have to see this. And I struggled with that a lot. And then looking back on it now, I realized that I think that those are the moments that they had the most growth too, is like having to help me through it and really allowing myself to need them instead of me always doing for them was really important for them, I think. My kids are, junior and senior in high school. They were 15 and I guess, my son was 15 when I found out, and my daughter was 14. So,
yeah. That was probably challenging, even talking to them at that time and helping them to try to understand. I don't even have a clue how that would have taken place other than you just go for it, right?
Yeah, there is really no. So the social worker from the hospital, she called me right away. Jackie, she's amazing, because it isn't something you navigate with children often and don't really know the rights from the wrongs. So she said right away to be honest with them since they're teenagers. She actually was really helpful with that, because she said, if I'm not honest and they see me sick, they're going to wonder and have questions. And she's like, being upfront and honest is the most important thing with teenagers. So it was really unusual. The day I found out, my husband had a board meeting, and so he had to be on the board meeting, and he came out of his office and was telling me about the board meeting, and my daughter walked in. from school. And she's like, something's really wrong. And I'm like, no, Dad's just telling me about his board meeting. She's like, no, something's wrong. And she's like, tell me, you have to be honest with me. And so I had to tell her then. And my daughter she's a tough girl. She doesn't cry often, but she cried then. It was tough. She just wondered why, like, why you? Mm-hmm. And those are the answers we don't have for them, so sure. Yeah. And then my son, I realized, well, if I told her, I better tell him. So I told him when I picked him up from band that day, and it was hard. He was a quieter kid. So he didn't say much at all. He didn't ask a lot of questions, but then over time, he slowly would ask more and want to know more information. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. So your 94-year-old grandmother, I think, also had a question, I believe, why Abbie? Mm-hmm. How do you answer that question for her and for yourself?
It's really hard because she, 94 years old, still goes bowling twice a week, bowls a higher score than me. Yes. She's amazing. Goes out and mows her yard and she's been so healthy. And so it was really hard on her. She did have those questions. And there's really no answer. She'd see me, make me so sad when I'd be sick and she'd cry, sure. Those are the moments that really are hard, but I know, having her come over, she'd come visit and we'd watch movies and stuff, really helped me through it. Even though I knew it was breaking her heart, which breaks my heart. But I think through this all, you just realize that the why in all of this is not why me, not to feel sorry for myself, because I don't. I feel like the why is in who can I help through this, and why I get it is because I do believe it's changed me in a way that I can help others. I can see life in a different perspective. And at the age of 46, I feel that's a blessing to me. Mm-hmm. So that's my why. And I hope others can see, I hope my grandmother can see that in me now, that maybe it changed my life for the better through this. Mm-hmm.
Sort of the purpose is kind of found there in your why.
100%. Yeah.
How do you leave it better while navigating your own health battle? I know that you're a mom and that's sort of like second nature.
It's funny because my son was a Cub Scout when he was little, and whenever they went hiking, that was their philosophy. It's when you go someplace, you leave it better than you found it. You don't leave your trash around, And I, after hearing that and being with them, I thought, gosh, that's so important in life in general. So this idea of leaving it better in general is kind of trying how I've tried to live my life. Yeah, I do. I really try to help others now. I have a network of ladies that, I reach out to and try to help through this as much as I can. Some of them I can relate to. Some of them I can just, say, hey, I'm thinking about you, and I really think that is a great way to leave it better. Just really softening my heart up to a lot of things that, people's stories, having more empathy for others of what they're going through, I think is important.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the volleyball connection. I've been, my entire life, career, world has been in volleyball. And I have dear friends and then connected with the Side Out Foundation was like, oh my God, I quit coaching and I got to be a part of this, which it's still, when I think about it, it gives me goosebumps when we're working with other folks that are so connected. For those that don't know, can you explain what Dig Pink is to you and the mission to raise money for metastatic breast cancer research?
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting event for our school. Many girls in their memories have said Dig Pink is one of their fondest memories. Coach West at our school, Don West Jr., he's amazing. He lost his aunt to breast cancer, and his father helps out with our program too. Papa, we call him. They started, and every year they've done an amazing job. Just community, getting amazing raffle baskets, the excitement around it. So when my daughter came in as a freshman, her freshman year was the first year in the school program. Yeah, they were like, well, we need some co-chairs for it. And I told them, no, I'll participate in the event this year, but I can't chair it. So I observed, I watched, I was like, this is a really awesome thing. Like, I'm like, the girls were just so excited. They were selling t-shirts at lunch, like getting raffle baskets. So I thought this is something I would like to help co-chair. So I said, okay, for the next year. Little did I know the personal, aspect it would bring to it. So February rolls around and I got diagnosed. And one of the first people I contacted was Coach West. And because at my doctor's appointment, my doctor said to me, he said, 20 years ago, if it were not for the research, you would not have made it. And I mean, you sit there and you're like being told this at age 46, like I wouldn't have made it if it weren't for the research. And you just appreciate every dollar that someone can raise. And so I contacted Coach West right away and let him know, I'm just so appreciative of the work you've done and everything you do for Dig Pink, and so we had the event that year. And one of my friends, at this point, I'm doing the best I can. I was going through chemo, about to have surgery. I had no hair, but it really helped me get up every morning. Like every morning that I knew like, oh, I'm going to write the press release. Oh, I'm going to go get some donors today. Like it got me through what little bit of energy I had. I was able to pour into that. And because it is when you're that sick, like you only have limited energy. So you're like, okay, how am I going to use this energy today to really make an impact? So for me, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And then we had our event and we had a donor who said, whatever you raise this year, I'm going to match it, because he's a personal friend of ours who knew the struggle I was going through. And he was just really like supportive. He couldn't be there that day, but he's like, this is what I'll do for you. So we ended up raising $8,000 just the night of, in one night. And it was like, we were so excited. And then with his match, we were able to get to 16. And then we had a few other donations trickle in. So ended up being $18,000. So I was like really excited. And we ended up being the number one fundraising team in Pennsylvania last year. So of high school. So
crazy good.
Yeah.
You mentioned also, again, connection, community, that there's two schools that have really put this thing together.
Yeah, we have it with our local rival. It's the school district right next to ours, who the head coach now was our middle school coach. So he has a tie-in. So, and our communities really run together. Like there are some houses that are like right on the border of the other district. So, for us to have it with them, it means that our whole community really can come out for it. They're not traveling 30 minutes away. They're all right here. And this year, we actually had our local magazine feature it. So the girls got on the front cover. And this magazine covers both of our communities. It's for our whole, it's called the Center Valley, our whole area. So I think that really was a nice way to really feel like getting the community involved and really spotlighting the good work that, besides just going out and playing volleyball really well, which they do, these kids are in it for more than just the game. They work hard to fundraise and do good things for the community too.
Yeah, it is that part. Not every community has gotten to that point yet. They work on it. They're working towards it. But you all have been doing that. Don West Senior and Junior, they have been amazing at setting this up and really creating the beginning part of that. And it's just really fun to see when the kids are so involved.
Yeah. So this year, I feel like, we really were all in, just like I said, with the magazine, and we reached out to organizations that we're like, why not? Let's try. Like the Steelers donated something, the Sixers donated stuff. Like we're like, let's just go for it. Like all these big organizations. So we had some phenomenal raffle baskets. Like we were blasting them out on social media, like just having a lot of fun with it. So we're really excited. We just found out we raised $12,000 in that night. And that's without the matching donor. Like we just, in one night, we raised $12,000. So we could not be more excited about that. We were just like, wow. Yes. Yeah. I was floored. I was so just proud of everybody. And, it takes a community, and we do give a portion of that to a local organization that does give toys to local hospitals. Yeah. It's just so much going on that evening. We were able to have one of our dads from the team does business down in the DC area. So he went to the lab and was able to do a video for us. So we had that video playing and really highlighting the research and the good work that, Side Out Foundation is doing.
That was an amazing video. And Mary Elena, and just being able to hear directly from the folks that are doing the work. It was, and his questions were so great. I was so impressed.
Hey, everybody. I'm Matt Kovchinsky, and I'm representing the Southern Lehigh girls volleyball team in Center Valley, Pennsylvania. And we're here today at the George Mason Research Facility in Manassas, Virginia. And we're at the Institute for Advanced Biomedical Research. And we're here to find out about the Side Out Foundation and what they're doing behind the scenes with the money you donate. So come follow me and we'll take a tour. Hi, I'm here with Mary with the Side Out Foundation at the Institute for Advanced Biomedical Research. So Mary, I have a few questions for you. If you had to explain Side Out's mission in just 30 seconds, kind of like an elevator pitch, what would you say this organization does and what makes this foundation different from other cancer organizations?
I think that the center message from the foundation is really finding ways to make metastatic breast cancer survival better. And the goal is really to utilize some of the modern technologies that we have in the lab to help map the biology of the tumor and utilize that information to tailor treatment for each individual patient. And they reach this goal through a lot of different programs, but that's kind of like the underlying mission is let's make patients live longer with this disease by making their treatment more effective.
When a volleyball team raises money through Dig Pink, what does the money actually do for a patient? And can you give us an example of how it changes someone's treatment? So the money that raised to the Pink event sponsor the opportunity for patients to get a free molecular profile that can then be utilized to tailor their treatment. So it's something that patient will get and will impact their treatment selection right now. And then after, on top of that, money are also utilized to develop research project that will help inform future type of treatment selection. The use of molecular information can make the survival or can stabilize their disease for a much longer period of time. It helps physicians select treatments that they might not have thought about empirically. And also it provides an opportunity for personalizing treatment for each patient. She's looking at breast tissue, but can you explain what?
She's looking at breast tissue and she's using this technique that's called laser capture microdissection to just pick out the tumor cells from the microenvironment. So every time she fires a laser, you see this little dot. Whatever is under that little dot gets captured.
Okay.
And so now we're purifying our tissue. Instead of having a bunch of different cells that all will have signal coming out, we're just looking at the tumor cells.
Wow. Built a system that lets scientists share Side Out's data with others. And why is this sharing information so powerful? And how could it speed up new discoveries?
So sharing information is highly important because as scientists, we look at the same problem under different lenses. And so opening our data set to other scientists and physicians might provide new opportunities for learning more about the disease. It also is a way for other scientists that ask different questions than the one we asked, so really maximizing this information. And the goal is really to learn more about metastatic breast cancer, to identify new traits that one day can become a new test. So the idea is really to share this information and gain the power of multiple people looking at the same data to, again, understand this disease better and then bringing the discovery back to patients.
And it's my understanding that right now, this is not something that's done on a typical level, that Side Out is one of the first to help spread, or not spread, but share this information.
The way that Side Out has designed this database is quite unique compared to what's available publicly. And a few characteristics is that the data come from a real world cohort of patients. So patients have been enrolled in the initiative across the United States. And also there is this very strong backbone on the initiative where data either come in through registry or clinical trials. So we have a very large amount of information that usually is not available in this type of databases.
So to wrap up, if you just had 30 seconds to tell, either someone who's giving a donation or a supporter on how their donation directly impacts women living with metastatic breast cancer, what would you say to them?
I think that the donation impacts women with metastatic breast cancer in two different ways. One is that we are providing the foundation is providing the opportunity for women to get the molecular profile right now by giving access to infrastructure and funds so that the profile can be free. And on the other hand, it also helps keep it in the future, as I like to say it, where it's really catalyzing new research opportunities to find answer to questions that we still have open, so that in the future we can fill some of the gaps and really try to make those profiles and the opportunity to treat metastatic breast cancer patients even better.
So I just got done meeting with Mary, Rick, and Chip, and everything they're doing here at Site Out is tremendous, and they're literally doing research in the building. The money that goes to them goes to the research. They're doing the research. So whatever you can give, please give. They're looking for patients. They're looking for clinical people to come in and actually do the test. It's a free test for the biomarkers for metastatic breast cancer. So, again, give what you can, and hopefully we'll see you out at Dig Pink. Thank you.
When we found out we were the number one fundraising team in Pennsylvania, Ellen came and spoke to the girls. And so that really opened my eyes even further to the work that Site Out's doing, like the precision medicine, all of that, like that really our dollars are going directly to people who have cancer, really impacted a lot of us. We were like, oh, like this is really something that is hands-on with, like our money we raise is really going towards directly to really good things. So he really wanted to go down and see. And he's like, I'm going to be there for work. So we're like, sure. And I thought it would be this little like Instagram reel that he would do. So when he came back with this full 5-minute, interview and highlights of the research, I was floored. Like it brought tears to my eyes. I thought this is a phenomenal thing. So anybody who can see that and really learn from him, because he was greatly impacted as well. He's like, he didn't even realize. He's like, until you see it, like it's, you don't grasp just how important this research is to the cure, because they figured out, like the kind I have, they figured out finally the cure. But there's these women out here living with this metastatic cancer that they have not figured out the cure for yet, and how important it is to get there. So that's why, raising this money is very profound to me too, because I feel like, I realize what it means to be sat down and told that only because of research that you're here. So I want those women to be able to share that same feeling of knowing that there's a cure for them too.
Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. Very powerful. The one thing for us as the Site Out Foundation, and I'm so glad he came to do that interview and really jumped in there, is that it's helping individuals. I mean, it's not a lab situation where you're looking at other ways of discovering research. It's actually directly helping immediately somebody that has breast cancer. So, this has been your family journey, not just as an individual battle. I know you've talked about that some already. And it sort of, I think, extends out into those around you and how things have changed in your world.
When I found out my diagnosis, I had only been living in the community I've lived in for about 2 years and 4 months. So we had lived in Maryland and California, and then we moved here. And so I hadn't met too many people, but outside the volleyball community through my daughter. And it was during club season that I found out. And there were a lot of moms I was just getting to know, because it was only February, club starts at the end of December. But let me tell you, that community of women and men too, but mostly the moms just were phenomenal. Like I had to tell them right away, because we had tournaments coming up and everything. And they pulled together money for gift cards for us. They, made sure that there was a meal train started. They, took Amelia when I had to be in the hospital. They took her to tournament. It was very last minute. I was supposed to drive her to a tournament. I ended up in the hospital because things happen. It was Friday afternoon. I ended up in the emergency room, and I'm like, oh no, like, Amelia, I can't take you. And immediately, like, it was not even a question, like, who was going to take her, And then from there on out, like, I couldn't go to the tournaments anymore. She had to go with other families. So just knowing that she was safe, that she was with people who cared about her, was everything to me. they send me videos and updates and everything. So that volleyball community, that club moms, I'm still in touch with most of them. Like, they're just phenomenal women to me and always will be. Outside of volleyball, it's like, club volleyball can get a little, there's stuff that goes on, but like, I think I'll always, like I said, like, all of that comes and goes, like, but it's the relationships I built and just the respect I have for those women when I needed them the most, that I'll always love them for. It's, and even some of them, like one of the moms, she's had a very traumatic injury. So even though she didn't have cancer, like, she's wheelchair bound now, she knows what it's like to go through these things. So she was the one who was like, hey, we need these meals. She set up all my meal trains. She checked on me daily. This lady was like, she was just always just, hey, just making sure you're okay. Like, just really, really, doing what she can through her experiences to help me through it. So I just was blown away by that. And then especially being so new to a community. And then school season rolled around and it was just the same thing. Like, they were just amazing. I'd show up to the games because that was my one thing I'd do that day if I could. Mm-hmm. And everybody just really just brought joy to me in a time when I didn't have the energy to even smile some days. So it really was just so helpful for me to get over that hump of not feeling well.
Mm-hmm. We're so blessed for those.
It just makes you realize, like, all the stuff that goes on, like that human connection mm-hmm. at the end of the day in community it does bring us together. Yeah. When we all have to be in it together. And like, as a mom going through it, I think they all kind of felt that, like, some compassion of like, it could be any of us.
Mm-hmm. You and Carrie's beginnings started at Penn State University back in the day.
I actually started out at Penn State Hazelton. Go Hazelton.
Yes. Okay.
And I did play volleyball there. Okay. And my coach Jago, she was in touch with me through this process too. She lives in Florida now, so I didn't get to see her, but we both went to Penn State. We got married at Penn State. So we're big Penn Staters. And actually through this all, then he was an athlete there. He wrestled there and two-time national champion, so he did some good things for the school. So we're very connected still, with the athletic department. So when my daughter started playing volleyball, they always have a tournament in State College every year. So we're like, we go up, we spend the night with one of his old roommates. And then the next day we went to the tournament. And at this point it was the week before my surgery. And, mm-hmm. So I didn't have any hair. I had my ball cap on. And I really, for me, I wanted to live when I'd go out and just have a day to go do something that I enjoyed. I did not want to talk about cancer. I did not want it to be my identity. I'm like, this is something I have. I'm not going to, I just mm-hmm. wanted to get through it. And so I was there, and Coach Katie's mom and her husband were there. Coach Katie couldn't be there because I think they were in Indiana or somewhere. They were on the road for a trip. But my husband and Katie have known each other ever since Penn State. Like, they go way back. I probably don't even want to know the stories. So they go, but they go way back before I knew my husband. So, he always kept me updated, like, oh, Katie's coaching at Penn now, Katie this, Katie that. So, but I had never formally really met her outside of after a volleyball game, shaking her hand or whatever. So her mom was there, and my husband knows her mom and her husband. And so we were all just chatting, and her mom asked me if I was going to come up the next week for the volleyball game. And I was like, no, I have cancer. And I was like, I took myself back. I was like, I never tell people I have cancer. Like, it's just something I don't talk about. Yeah. And, with my hat on, I was like, nobody needs to know. So I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I can't believe I said that. And she looked me dead in the eyes and she's like, Katie has cancer. And I'm like, this still makes me choked up, because I was like, of all the people, like, she's just a superwoman, right? You look at her and you're like, phenomenal athlete, just amazing person. And so I couldn't believe it. And then she's like, what kind do you have? And I said, triple positive. And she's like, Katie does too. And that's when I just was like, my heart just shattered, because I was just on the tail end of chemo, just starting to feel good. And I knew she was starting it, not that week, but the next week. So I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, if she needs anything, like, please have her reach out. And so through that, we started texting, and then we were able to keep this, connection and just help each other through same exact treatment, same exact chemotherapy initially, then surgery. And she went through all of that, as we all know, during the season. And it was something.
I do not know how. And I, do not know how. And you can relate to that more than anybody.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, like for me too, just, I didn't have to coach, but just knowing like, okay, I've got Amelia's volleyball game tonight to go to. It gets you up and gets you moving, gets you out of bed, gives you that something to look forward to. And that's what I think, volleyball did for her too. And, whether it be volleyball or another sport, it's having that community of people that really, really does get you through things. So, when, I look back on it and just having that connections with others too, like it was really important, I think, to be able to relate to one another. Like there are things that it's hard to even understand what chemo does to your body till you've been through it. But to have somebody be able to help you through that and say, yep, that's normal, or nope, that's not, or, this is what you can eat, this is what you can't, things like that. It's really helpful. So I will, through it, Katie and I have become, really good friends, and I'm really appreciative of that. Not that that's how I had to become friends with somebody. And in general, there's a few people like that now in my life who I'm like, but yet on the other hand, I'm like, those are one of the silver linings I see through all of this. It's like you do really come to appreciate that these people have come into your life, and just really am thankful for a lot of them. Yeah. My nurses and my doctors, like I love them all. I'm like, I miss them actually. It's like, it's a weird thing to have to be in the hospital so much. Like I think just in the infusion center alone last year, I was there from when I started in May till December. I was in that room for over a month of amount of days. So for different treatments. So, and that's just the infusion center where you go to get your chemo. They do all sorts of treatments for you. Like if you get low in like one area, like they'll give you a treatment or a shot or a hydration infusion. So you spend a lot of time with those nurses and you become really, really close with them.
Yeah. So, what gives you hope?
I don't know. I think I've always been kind of an optimistic person in general. But when I look at my kids and I look at all the people just helping each other, like that's one thing you learn through this is like how much people really truly do want to help one another, especially in a world right now where we see so much where people are not so kind to one another all the time. But like I felt nothing but kindness from all different people, like, and it does give me hope. Like seeing my kids mature through this, like I know I just see this generation, like my kids, my teenagers and their friends. And I really am excited to see what they're going to do with their lives. Like I do. And I'm just grateful to be able to be here for it. So, and I think my son's senior night was Friday night and someone asked me if I cried. And I said, no, I fought so hard to be there because there were moments when I realized that I might not get to. And, for me to be able to walk out on that field, again, walk out on that field with him, was really, really, I was full of joy, not sadness, because I realized that like that was a gift that was given to me. Like I was not guaranteed that. And I think that's really exciting. I look at age entirely differently than I ever have before. Like I look at my 94-year-old grandmother and I'm like, every wrinkle, every gray hair is such a gift that why would we want to change that? Like if I get to be 70, I'm going to be so happy, because it's like, you just start to realize like nothing's guaranteed and how short it really all is. So,
yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
What do you want people to understand or to know about triple positive breast cancer?
Yeah, I think the first thing I want every woman to know is don't take any lump lightly. Don't take anything that doesn't seem right, even if it's a pain, lightly. Just get to the doctor, because the sooner you can get ahead of this one, or any of them really, the better off you're going to be. They really need you to get it as soon as they can, for them to really have the the jump on it. Like if it's, each stage is a little bit harder. Like we know, like stage 4 now is what you guys are fighting to find a cure for. So if the doctors can just get it as soon as possible, it's just so much more optimistic. It was funny when I first got diagnosed, I was taking a walk with one of my neighbors, and she's a good friend of mine, and we were just talking about it. And I was telling her what the doctor told me about these researchers who came up with the Herceptin, which is the drug that cures us. And she said, I bet you don't know their names. And I thought, oh, I don't know their names. She goes, oh, but you know all these athletes' names, and you always. I was like, good point. So I do know their names now. I have their names. They
Let's
actually
talk
won.
about them.
So actually, I want to tell, they won the award in 2019. They won the Lasker-DeBakey Clinical Medical Research Award for their work. They have saved, at this time of the research I read, 2 million women were able to get treated with Herceptin. They are Dr. Michael Shepard, Dr. Dennis Slayman, and Dr. Alex Ulrich. And they worked at different times throughout it. Started off in a small lab, 2 people just figuring out what this gene was that was causing this cancer to metastasize, and figured out what it was, figured out it was the HER2 gene, and then went on to figure out how do we target it. And it's because of that targeted therapy then that they've gone on to do other targeted therapies, for other cancers. So I just think, gosh, what made these men decide, like, this is what we're going to spend our lives doing? And I don't want to question it. I just want to be grateful that they did, because, it takes people who just say, you know what, we have the funding, which is really important right now. We have the funding and the dedication to just figure this out. And so 2 million women's lives later, here we are. I think that's just one of the things, is just staying hopeful that there will be even more advances for everyone, and just to really take your body seriously. Like anything that doesn't seem right, just get it checked out. Hopefully it's nothing, and with the triple positive, it is definitely a longer road than just being double positive, but there's a lot of hope now. Mm-hmm. So, and I think one of the biggest things is that you just follow the plan that they have in place. Like I have to have hormone suppression. I had to go into menopause early. It's not, the best thing in the world. I feel like I've aged, a lot in the last year because of it, but I also know it saves my life. So will I do it? Yeah, of course. Like I'm not going to say no to it. I'm just going to do it. Because like my daughter's favorite saying to me through all of this is better than the alternative. And as harsh as that is, as honest as that is, it's also very true. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather, deal with some of the side effects of that than not be able to be here. So yeah, she's an honest kid. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I was just feeling that a lot.
On my roughest days, that was her motto for me. Better than the alternative, mom.
The alternative mom. Yeah, gotta love that. Any message to others who might be facing their own battles right now?
I think just to really embrace the help that people want to give in any way they can. It really does make a difference, and I think we sometimes as women especially think we can do it all by ourselves, or we've got this, like that mentality of like, I can do it. Because we can most of the time, but there are times like this that you do need help. And I think even the social worker at the hospital, like I wasn't one to really, at first I thought, well, I don't need that. And then I realized just at the end of the day, like just how important those people are to you. So that's what I would say, just to whatever community it may be church, like we had a church family, who really helped us through it. Volleyball for us, wrestling too. My husband, has so many great friends who are like family to us, who have just done so many things. And I look back on it now and I have a million thank you notes to write, and I will get to that, but I just want everyone to know just how impactful whatever it was that they were able to do. I had one person from my childhood church. She was older than me growing up, but I know their family really well. And she would write me cards. Like every other week I'd get a card from her. Vienna, if you listen, I appreciated that. And there were moments where like, gosh, I should write her back. But then I was like, I realized that she was just trying to encourage me and help me through it. Because there were moments where I think that's one of the things is like, people are doing so much for you. And I feel like I've got to write them thank you notes. I have to let them know how meaningful this is to me. So I'd shoot them a text and all, but I had to let go of that feeling of like, I have to reciprocate this, which normally I would always do. Like you do for me, I do for you. I'm like, no, they really are. And somebody told me what you can do for them is to get better. That's all they want. And I thought, okay, that's what I'll do then. So.
Good advice. Well, Abbie, thank you for your courage, your advocacy, and for leaving it better every single day. And your story is here to inspire so many people, and it will inspire so many people. Thank you for doing Dig Pink. Thank you for supporting our work there. This has been a real treasure for me to get to meet you. And to have this time hearing your story.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. I'm very honored, and I do hope if I can just help even one person, then all of us will have been worth something.
Thank you for listening. Please share your feedback with us at side-out.org.